So I believe we are recording.
Yes.
All right. People, hold on a second.
Just give it one more minute.
Okay. Hey, Joanne.
Hey, Joran.
Okay. Everybody. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Show everybody the memorial.
All right, so just, I showed originally when some people joined, but this is the memorial. We're able to, let me make sure, I'm trying to see it in the, hold on a second. I'm going to pin myself so it's a little easier to see what you're seeing in one second.
Reverse the camera.
You can, so, hold on a second, where are we? There we go. 10. Why is this?
Susanna there? Because I just talked to her. Susanna?
Hi, how's it going? Hi. Nice to meet you. Doran, nice to meet you. Hi, how's it going? Hi, we just had some people come in person, so maybe we'll give everybody a few more seconds.
How do you guys know John?
We play volleyball.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Susanna Bauman is
Yeah,
here.
everybody
You
here.
look at participants.
Yes.
Is she here because I just spoke to her?
Yes, I believe so. Susanna Bauman is here.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Susanna, I got it. Thank you.
All right.
Did you show everybody the memorial?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was getting.
Thank you.
No. Anyway, so this is a memorial to my uncle. All right, so we got pictures from the 70s. We even have a picture from, I think, 4th grade right here. All right. We have John with us. And I know everybody knows him as Jack, but his family calls him Don. We got pictures from Ireland. We got pictures from when we visited in April, which is a very good time.
Remember that?
His cat, Max, right here, sitting next to him.
With his ashes.
Yes. And Jack and Andre in the back. And there again on the right. We got Robert Maguire here, back from his naval days. And lots of pictures here. And then we have his parents, Patrick and Bill Maguire. And then one of his famous, it's a little blurry, this picture, but yeah. And what we know most about my uncle, very friendly. Okay. All right, so I guess we should get started. Make sure we're still recording. Yeah, we're recording, all right. All right, so thank you everybody for coming today. Didn't expect to be doing this. But I remember meeting my uncle back in the early 70s. I always knew I had an uncle from Germany, and probably when I was 3 years old at the time, I thought he actually was from Germany and not, just Irish kid from Tarrytown or White Plains, New York, who grew up and, went to Vietnam, then moved to Germany afterwards. But he did come back from Germany eventually. And I remember my first memory of John is I was about 3 years old, and I guess my mother and my grandmother left me with him, and he took me to his friend's house in a building that was like a block away from my grandmother's house. And my earliest memory is of me, they had benches in this lobby, and you could lift the benches up, you kind of crawl into them. And I went into it, and when I came out, he wasn't there anymore. So he probably thought this was extremely funny. But him taking me places is kind of like what happened when he came back from Germany. So he moved back from Germany, I guess, in 1979. And by about the end of 1980, I was kind of like a permanent fixture on a Saturday or Sunday on his hip. He'd say, "Hey, Jordan, want to go to Burger King?" I'd say, "Sure." So we'd hop in a sedan and we'd go to Burger King. "Hey, Jordan, I'm jogging now. Do you want to go jogging?" And he would take me and he would go run the entire way and I'd be catching my breath. So I spent a lot of time with John up until I was about 18. Even time I had with him, I was his roommate, or I should say he let me stay at his place. Kind of butted heads a few times, but for the most part, it's still an opportunity I'm glad I had to spend as much time. He's been at most, if not all, of the important parts of my life. He was there at my wedding. He was there at the christening and birth of most of my children.
This
He's
is the
somebody who, unfortunately, over the last 6 years, I've had to see a lot. But when we did see and when we did talk, it wasn't like I didn't know who I was talking to. I always knew I was talking to my uncle. And I always knew he was my Uncle John. So I'm so glad I came down in April to see him. And it's something that I don't think I'll ever forget. Got to take me out on his boat, his lifelong dream of owning a boat. And as the ass in the boat was, always had to complain about it. But I'm glad I could experience that with him. I always thought it was his fantasy, but it became a reality. For that, I'm really glad. And I'll miss him. Andrea, would you like to say a few words? Few words, any words, 100 words, 1,000 words.
I write mine down. I'm not much of a public speaker, but I'm Andrea. I'm Jack's girlfriend. And we met 24 years ago at a timeshare in Bradenton Beach. And I went to the lobby. I remember seeing this tall, bald guy with this stupid baseball hat on. And I thought, oh, okay. So I found out later the girlfriend I was with invited him up to our room, and we invited him in to party, and we offered him a drink. He says, "I don't drink." We offered him some marijuana. He doesn't smoke. So I'm thinking, God, this guy's gonna be a lot of fun. And one thing led to another, and he's been my designated driver for 24 years now. The first time we went sailing together, we went to Clearwater and rented a catamaran. And we're going along, Jack's at the helm, and all of a sudden the boat starts to tip. I look up at Jack and he's got this blank look in his face, and I'm screaming, "Let go of the rope!" Well, anyway, the boat tipped over and that sail was glued to the water. And somebody finally rescued us. So on the way home, he says, "Oh, I'm such a knucklehead with a capital N." And I said, "No, you're a knucklehead with a capital K." I'm Jewish and I love to dance. And Jack read up on Judaism and he actually learned to dance. He took a dance lesson. So one time we entered a Paradise Lakes dance contest. That's a country club we belong to. And I bought Jack a pink shirt. He actually wore it. And we came in second place. But I usually don't tell this story. But when I usually tell the story, I leave out the part that there were only 2 couples competing. Jack loved playing volleyball at Paradise Lakes, and he was the only Democrat in a far-right Republican-dominated volleyball game. I'm saying that there's some of his Republican friends. Give them the dig for the longest time. So his Republican friends gave him a book called Reasons to Vote for Democrats, a Comprehensive Guide, a book full of 200 blank pages. And Jack got a kick out of that. He had a great sense of humor, and he could laugh at himself and often refer to himself as Jack the Quack. He signed his love letters Jack the Quack. I'm fortunate to meet his family, his friends, and he's had some of these friends over 40 years. And I learned a lot about his previous life before me, much of it funny and some of it tragic. And Jack was a lovable but complicated man. On the day he died, he was riding home with a friend after motoring the boat back from repair. And on the way back, Jack had a heart attack. I'm grateful he had a friend with him and he didn't die alone, but he should have died at sea. We have some pictures over here. There's some I want to show you. Let's see. Can you see that? Jack with his black eye. He got that from somebody at Paradise Lakes playing volleyball. And what are some other goofy pictures? Did you show them this one?
Yes, I
You showed
did.
them that one.
He was proud of it.
Here's one of the many pictures of Jack and I at an affair. And it was really unusual to see him all dressed up. So he's dressed up real nice here.
He likes his t-shirts.
Yeah, t-shirts and shorts pulled all the way up.
Yeah. So anyway, the goofy pictures are my favorite pictures. So I'm lucky to have had him in my life for 24 years, but it wasn't enough. So goodbye, my sweet knucklehead with a capital K.
All right, Robert.
Hi, everybody. Maybe folks can see the shirt that I'm wearing here. This is kind of in addition to being John's brother. We also shared a stint in Alcoholics Anonymous. My brother got sober in 1980 and I got sober in 1984. So I figured I'd wear this a little bit in commemoration and celebration of my brother, because I'll be talking about that a little later. You know, just like Andrea said, John had a bit of a complicated life. He was a complex guy, and it wasn't always the happiest of situations when we were growing up and when we were adults. But we basically, I had to have notes. I mean, I've gotten to that point in my life where if I don't have notes, I'll forget my head, you know, if it wasn't attached to me. I'm 8 years younger than John. I'm the baby. I like to think of myself as the whoops baby. You know, my parents woke up one day and was like, whoops, we're having another kid. So, John is 8 years older than me, and my sister Patricia is, she's 6 years older. And so that kind of plays into the relationship that I had with John. I really don't have a lot of memories of John until he was a teenager. And I was probably 7, 8 years old. And to set the stage a little bit, my parents, John and my sister Patricia were both born in White Plains. I'm the only native Tarrytowner, which probably doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people, but they moved to North Tarrytown in 1953. North Tarrytown is now called Sleepy Hollow. The Americans here will probably remember the legend of Sleepy Hollow, pretty cool town to live in. Anyway, so they bought a delicatessen. And we lived in an apartment right behind the delicatessen. And it was always an open door all the way back into our kitchen, into our living room. So my parents would always be able to hear what was going on back in the apartment. So the first real memory I have of interacting with John was I used to pester him when I was like 7, 8 years old. And he'd finally get sick and tired of it. And then he'd pin me to the floor and start giving me what he called these little Indian birds and noogies. And so I started screaming at the top of my lungs. And the next thing you know is my father would come roaring into the apartment and he'd give my brother a whack. And he'd say, my brother would, say in consternation, but he's the one that started it. He said, it doesn't matter. He's their little brother. Don't do it to him. So that was how we basically started our real relationship. I won't even go into some of the situations with my sister, but that's a different story. So anyway, John, probably the next big thing, and it's tough situations for him, tough situations for the family. Really the big events next that we had in his life was him being drafted into the Army. He actually told me once, he said that he actually thought about going to Canada or going to Sweden, but he said that he loved the country too much and he always wanted to come back. That was before all of the folks that ended up going overseas were allowed to come back into the States. And so he said, I'm going to go into the Army. So he ended up as an artilleryman in Vietnam for 16 months. He actually hated the Army so much that he was only supposed to do 12 months, but he found out if he did an extra 4, he would be able to get out of the Army as soon as he hit the stateside. So that's what he did. He signed up to do those extra 4 months. And he always told me, and he's told all his friends afterwards, that it was no big deal. But I still remember an instance that happened when we were living in our new apartment in Tarrytown, a town that's right next to North Tarrytown. And my mother dropped a pot, and the next thing you know, my brother just hit the deck. And so he always had something back there. He's kind of like my father. My father spent 3 years in North Africa, Sicily, and Italy, and he always, it's no big deal, no big deal. So I guess it's kind of a genetic thing. We kind of inherited from each other. So anyway, he whether that will be something that affected him later on, I don't know. I have no idea. He ended up going to Germany, as it was mentioned before. He went to Heidelberg, and he stayed there and was studying at the University of Heidelberg on the GI Bill. And well, I'm not sure that he was doing a heck of a lot of studying. He really turned into a raging alcoholic. And it was one of the most painful parts of my life was when I went to visit him in 1975 in Heidelberg for Christmas. And I won't go into details, but it just was very, very, very rough. And a few years later, after I came back to the States and my father died, he wasn't able to come back to the States, so he missed my father's funeral. But shortly after that, he was able to come back to the States and stay with my mother. And to be perfectly frank, this is going to mean something. It's going to be kind of a how would you say, an epiphany. Very short, just in a minute here. But he just drove her crazy. She just didn't know what to do with herself because he was so bad the way he was drinking. And she finally kept complaining to me, and I came down to Tarrytown and told her I'm going to stand right next to you while I kick him out of the house. And that's what we did. Because there were friends of his, there was actually a very close friend of his that he grew up with who said that's the only way you're going to be able to deal with this, that you have to get him out. So we did. And luckily, a couple of days later, he called us up and he basically said, I need help. And God bless him, the man, he took to it. He went into treatment and he never drank again. 41 years, I don't know, it's June, I think, it's his birthday date.
Yeah, so he made 41 years.
Yeah, 41 years, that's right, he made 41 years. And he became a completely different person. One of the things that I'm very proud of him that he got sober. I'm very proud of myself. I got sober too, but very proud of him. He got sober, and the way that he treated our mother. He just took care of her like she was a queen. Wouldn't you say so?
I wouldn't dispute that at all. He was there every single day. You know, he made him wear those goofy knitted hats, and he wore them. He took all the hangers that were knitted and put them in his closet, and he just every single day took care of her until the day she died. And never thought he did enough. Very good fight.
Yeah. So he really is, after he was able to get over that, that Mr. Booze thing, his true character came out. And just like everybody said, I mean, meeting people here in Lutz, I mean, it's like, everybody knew Jack, and he was just the friendliest guy, and that was the real Jack Maguire, John Maguire. He'll always be John to me. Just like my sister will always be Patricia to me, and I'll always be Robert. We had some issues towards the end. I mean, some people mentioned he might have been a Democrat, I think. And we definitely had some knocking heads on that. But at the end of the day, hey, what can I say? He was my brother, and I loved him. And there's always things you can always do better, but I count myself very lucky to have been John Francis Maguire's brother. Thanks very much.
Hi, Jack.
Is there anything anybody else wants to say?
I don't know if anybody else wants to share anything, please.
Just
Feel
a
free.
couple of words.
Yes.
Jack, could you put us on there?
We're on.
Yep, I'm just trying to figure out who's speaking.
George
Oh,
Watt,
how
Gail
about-
Mueller
This
and
is
George.
George and Ron.
It's under Gail Mueller.
Oh, there we go. All right, so let me. Yeah. There we go. Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Jack. This is, well, Ron and I are here, and we still have a kind of a date on your boat. Because, yes, we first went out with Jack when he first got the boat, the first boat, the 45-footer. And then we went out to the bay there, and Jack, of course, he would yell at me and Ron. And we'd yell back at him. But we had a great time, and we're still gonna come down eventually and go sailing with Jack. Anyway, so I'll see you, Jack.
Very much.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have anything they want to say about my Uncle John?
This is Eileen in Ireland.
Eileen, second, let me just-
John, we all over here have,
One second,
oh yeah,
I'll take
sorry.
the bus.
Yeah.
No, I know. You go ahead, Eileen, unless
Yeah.
it's your.
We have very fond memories of John over here in Ireland on the couple of visits we had from him over the years. Really nice guy who, just a gentleman really to us. We really enjoyed his company and he was very interesting to be with. And I think I told you and Robert recently the great memory we have of him at home in Ballinamore when he came to visit. He liked to go out jogging early in the morning. And my mother was alive at that time, who would have been his Aunt Julia. And when he came back one morning, she said to him, "Well, John, how did the jog go today? Did you have a lovely run?" "Yes," he said, "until this young one passed me by. Jogged right past me, way up the street ahead of me." So she said, "Look, don't worry about that." She said, "That is a competitive runner who was out training early in the morning before she went to school." So then he was happy. But before that, he thought the young one, he thought he was going to beat her, but she overtook him, went ahead. So he got a lot of slagging about that in Ballinamore. But he was nice. He was a lovely guy.
Very
George,
good.
may I say something about Jack? George,
Hold on a second.
Joan, if I don't cry.
Oh, yes. Joan, hold on a second. Let me find you, Joan, on this.
Thank you.
Okay.
So. Okay.
Gotcha.
You're all set, Joan.
Okay. My name is Joan. I met Jack when I was 20 years old in college. And it was 1980. I'm sorry, the emotion I've been holding back is coming out. But he had just gotten home from Vietnam. And I knew him and then also moved to Germany, where I saw him every day while he was in Heidelberg, just about every day. And then afterwards, and he is godfather to our son, Nick, who is also on the call. And in that 41 years, Jack was totally a true blue friend. He was more critical of himself than he should ever have been for all what we heard about what Robert said about his alcoholism is all true. And Jack worked so hard to change his life around, and he did. He was a wonderful guy. Every time he came to visit us, he always went to AA meetings every night. He worked very hard at it, and he changed his life around. And I hope that he died feeling that he accomplished the things in life he wanted to do. He had so much potential, and I think he knew that. But he was a wonderful, wonderful friend and a good guy with the greatest heart. And I'm so happy, so sad to lose him, but happy that he didn't suffer a long death. It was too early, but I'm glad that it was an easier death, as I imagined it was. Who knows, but so I'll miss him. I think we all will.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, I'd like to say something. Our parents, the Maguires and the O'Byrnes, were very, very close. My father and Pat Maguire, the father, Robert and Pat and John's father, were in North Africa together, in Italy together. My parents met at John's christening, or I guess baptism. And so our families were very close. The Maguires were closer than my blood relatives, and the hands down. We spent every holiday with them just about. And of course, my memory of John is like Robert's, because Robert and I are 7 months apart. And so, and of course, John was a teenager. We were annoying. I remember the trips going to Playland. And I have some pictures, I'll send them to you, of us all at Playland. And I remember going to Howard Johnson's for everybody's graduation. That was like a big deal because our families didn't go to restaurants ever, except for graduations. And I believe the last time I physically saw John, because John came back to the States in '79, and I moved to California in '76. So unless, my husband at the time and I went back for a visit, we didn't see anybody. But I remember seeing him up in Mayapack, and Joran was 16 or 17. And my husband and I took him out for a driving lesson, which was pretty interesting, Joran, as I remember. Like, brake, that's the brake, but I remember John being there, and it was a really fun Christmas. That's the last time I saw him in person. And we didn't really have any contact after that. He would send, when I had a baby, he sent a gift like always. He was at my wedding in '81, and good guy, good man. And like I said, we didn't have a lot of contact, but last year I lost my daughter. And John was on the phone, and really was a comfort to me. And the last time I talked to him, he was so delightful, and he was talking about his boat. And I said, well, what is the name of your boat? And he told me, and I keep forgetting. I think Joran said it's Honeycomb. Is that what you said it was? Yeah. Anyway, he said, I really should name the boat the Stirabout, because I can picture my mother over a bowl of oatmeal stirring about. And he said, that's what she used to call the oatmeal, the Stirabout. And I'll never forget that. And that was our last call. Good guy.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Chrissy.
Anyone else like to say something?
Floor is open.
Oh, I'll say something. I'm Joran's mother-in-law, Joanne. And when Joran and Zan got engaged, we met Uncle John, and he embraced us as a family, and we embraced him. He was just a great guy, a father figure, image to Joran, terrific with the grandchildren or Joran's children. And I guess the great story in our family about Uncle John is Joran and Zan and the kids and my husband and I were all going somewhere. And then my husband said, well, I can't go because of the dogs. And I said, Zan and I said, well, Uncle John's going to take them. And no, Uncle John can't handle my dogs. And so he said, all right, well, stay home and goodbye. And he said, well, all right, well, maybe I'll test Uncle John out. So he was at Zan's house. So we sent the dog over, and Kashik said, oh, no, Uncle John will never, this isn't going to work. So we go the next day, and where's the dog? The dog's in bed with Uncle John. So it devastated my husband, by the way, but Unc John took great care of the dog. And anytime we'd go away, Cassius always Unc John coming to take care of the dogs. He was just a wonderful man and so devoted to family. And we'll all miss him because the minute we met him, we just embraced him as another family member. So, Jorn, you were lucky.
I was. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you. Anybody else like to say something?
Right. Okay.
Well, we got somebody here to like to say
Yes.
something.
John, right?
I'm Carl.
Carl.
Carl, that's close.
All right, this is Carl.
Cheryl.
Yes.
Hi there.
You just, and that's, you look like you're looking at him.
So Cheryl and I, friends, living here in Lutz, and played volleyball many a day. I mean, he would often be over there most days of the week, playing volleyball at Paradise Lakes. And so we shared that the main thing I think about John, or Jack, is that he always had something good to say about everybody. He was always the most encouraging person. I wasn't a very good volleyball player. I got better in time playing with him and others. But yeah, so yeah, whatever. If you did something good while you were playing, you were amazing. You were amazing. Are amazing was one of his main things. But he would say, "You're incredible," or "amazing,"
Yeah,
or
wow, he was playing
"You're wonderful." I can't believe what you just did. He was just that. That was his nature.
He is still in my phone under Wow Jack. Because he would go, wow, that was amazing.
And
So he's right under wow.
that was the personality that we knew. Just always enjoyed being around him and his very positive motivation.
And he was just a very kind soul, and I could talk to him about anything, and I did talk a lot, and I saw him. At that time, several different conversations we kept up, subjects that we kept up on, and yeah, and the only time I ever saw him the slightest bit upset was when those damn Republicans would give him a
He stood his ground.
He stood his ground. He did. Yeah, he stuck up for it. Well, yeah. And too bad if you don't like it. I mean, and everyone loved him regardless. Everybody loved him regardless of what his political stand was. And I've always been that way with everybody. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, whatever you are. And he was just always the nicest, kindest soul. And I miss him horribly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, it's thundering here. Just a little rain showers. Okay, nobody else has anything else to say? I really want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my name is Tom Oberst. I played high school football with Mac. You've been calling him John and Jack, but I knew him as Mac. Can you hear? Yeah. And so we played for Archbishop Stepinac High School, White Plains, New York, which for those of you who were born after at the front end of the baby boom, these Catholic high schools were packed. This is an all boys Catholic high school. 1,500 students played in Division I football in and around New York City, which basically Archbishop Stepinac, right? Exactly. Yep.
He
And
kept-
I played alongside of him, and he was a tight end and I was an offensive tackle, and he was a great football player. We had a great team, and we had a very famous coach called Joe Sullivan. But you know, certainly that environment was different. 1,500 boys. Your parents didn't send you to a Catholic high school necessarily because, well, they wanted you to either get well-grounded in Catholicism or well-disciplined. And of course, back then, the school was loaded with priests and brothers, and the like. So that was fantastic. In the 50th reunion, I was part of the high school's 50th reunion activities, and I contacted Mac. We had a wonderful conversation, mostly about football. But and so I connected with him on Facebook. And one of the things we talked about was that on my father's side, everybody was German, but on my mother was Breen and County Fermanagh in Ireland. And the dominant family in County Fermanagh are the Maguires. So we were sort of trying to explore whether or not we were possibly related, but as a possibility, because Breen is another very, and I've got Maguires in my family tree, because I was able to go over to Canoli, and I was able to go to the parish, and I was able to get all the marriage records. It was really great, but I won't get into that. So one of the what else do I want to say? Yeah. So he seemed to be in good health a short while ago. I mean, we were sort of passing some pleasantries on Facebook. So this must have been a sudden. Was this sudden departure on his part, or?
It's completely unexpected. He just had a major heart attack one afternoon, and that was it.
That was it. Well, yeah, I just thought he was absolutely outstanding guy, and the like. And so yep, definitely going to miss him. And I really wish at this point I would have taken those actions where I could have made a stronger connection with him, and the like. So.
That I have to say something though. That is so interesting. You say he was a great tight end because, well, my parents are both from Ireland, and I don't think they even knew what American football was, frankly. But I never knew that in my entire life, that he was, because he was never the type of guy that ever brag about anything. Period.
No, he didn't.
Right.
He
Yeah.
told me he's terrible.
Well, back in those days, we did a lot of running, and it wasn't a lot of passing going on, and we had a 3 yards in a cloud of dust. So, but yes, he was a great tight end. Yep. And it was a big school, and in order to even start, I mean, we had depth charts of 3 and 4 people deep, and 200 boys would go out for football because it was a big thing. So, to be a starting tight end was quite an honor on back in those days.
Great. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
Thanks for sharing. Anybody else? Okay, so it really means a lot.
Sorry, I wanted to say something.
Oh, sure.
Joran. Hi, I'm Laura Catelli. I'm saying hi from Argentina. I moved down here in 2008, so I really hadn't seen Jack in a long, long time. I've known him for over 20 years. I met him in New Jersey through my mom, and he really was a big part of our lives, and he, because of the time of my own life in which I met him, he was there for a number of important things for me through college. But there is something that is special. I think we had a special connection because we share the same birthday. So February 6th. So we used to joke about both being crazy Aquarians, which he was, and I think I am too. we do share having moved around and having met a lot of people from very different walks of life. And the fact of meeting everybody today here and seeing, that he had such a dynamic life kind of confirms that we did have that connection. So he, throughout these years, we kept in touch here and there. He wrote for my birthday. I wrote him back. He didn't forget one single birthday over all these years. And I have a little tiny Polaroid of a birthday like 20 years ago in one of my houses, of my many houses in New Brunswick, New Jersey. I went to Rutgers. And so we shared a lot of birthdays, whether together or apart. And I'll remember him every year until I'm gone myself, but I'll miss him a lot. He was very, very important to me. He was very generous. He was a very, very generous heart. And I think he teaches us that hearts can go a very, very long way, even though, well, anyway, I'm a little emotional, but he was a very, very generous, loving man. And I'm thankful, very thankful to have crossed paths with him. So thank you for having this also. Thank you.
Hey, can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. Hey, Joran and everybody. My name's Tom Nelson. Jack is my son's godfather, and Jonah spoke earlier is my wife. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I'm in a car parked in the Grand Canyon, and I found a spot with 2 bars. So I've been sitting here for 4 hours because I thought, I've got a spot, it works, I'm not moving. So I've been sitting in this car. So anyway, Jack would be thrilled because he and I read this book one time about all this, The Shining Mountain. And so Jack would always, are you out in the Shining Mountains, Tom? And I'd say, yeah, I am, Uncle Jack. But listen, why I want to get on this, I want you, Joran, to know how he used to talk about you behind closed doors. He thought you hung the moon. Oh my God. He would talk about what a great father you are, and what a great guy you are. He just thought you were the greatest thing in the world. And you should know that. And your grandparents would be so thrilled to see this, the whatever you call that, continuation of time. Give me some arty term. But to know that the Maguires in America were a great success through you and those kids, that must make everybody really happy.
Thank you very much, Tom.
That's all I got. But he just thinks you're great, Jordan, and he thinks your kids are great. Let me tell you, that you shot down there at Christmas time. He was talking about that. You go to Disney World 2 or something?
Sorry, you broke up there.
Did you go to Disney?
No.
We can't hear you, Tom, but maybe I can finish. I think
I'm
what
wondering if you got Jack to Disney World.
did you
How
go
about
to
Disney World?
Oh yeah, we went to Disney World once. Just one. And we also were driving from Miami, and
Just hold on a second. We're gonna put you on mute.
Is this better? I had the phone up in the car.
Say it again. Oh no. Tom's iPhone.
Tom, did we lose you?
I muted him. I muted him. Joan, do you know the story, Joan?
Hello?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tom, it's too hard to hear you right now.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Well, listen, apparently the connection from the Shining Mountains is not so good. So I'll say goodbye to everybody. But Jordan, let me tell you something. He thought you hung the moon, guy.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you, Tom.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Well, I'll
All right.
just say, this is Lori. I spoke a little bit earlier, wasn't on the recording, but that's fine. I have to just repeat what Lauren said. I think your name's Laura or Lauren in Argentina. He
Yes.
was, I mean, we didn't share the same birthday, of course, but he remembered just every single holiday that came around during the year, or just checking in, just out of the blue. He was always thinking about people all the time. And there's so many volleyball players that I know Cheryl and Carl are representing there. And I'm very pleased that they're there, because there's so many people that maybe don't have Zoom, but he meant so much to so many. And we all probably feel like, oh, we wish we would have connected with him just a little bit more, knowing that we don't have him anymore on this, in this dimension here. So, but I just went through my text messages with him, and I wasn't a close friend with him, but I was a volleyball friend with him, and I knew him from Florida here. And he just always remembered every single holiday, New Year's or Christmas or Thanksgiving. How are you doing? Just wanted to say hello, miss you. It's just somebody with a very, very wise and worldly spirit that I really find hard that I'll ever meet somebody like that again. So thank you, Joran, for sharing this all with us. And thank you, Cheryl, for finding Joran, because Cheryl's the one who found Joran on Facebook and told me about it so that we could connect with Joran. And I am really impressed with all the stories. I feel like I wish I had known him better, really, honestly. I have some regrets with that realization, but I'm certainly glad that I crossed paths with Jack, with John. He has a lovely family. You guys are very, very wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Lori. Appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Floor is open. Anybody? We're happy to hear from anybody.
Yes. All right. On behalf of Andrea, my uncle Robert, my wonderful wife Alexandra, I want to thank you all for taking this opportunity to come in person and also virtually. I know this sometimes not the easiest for everybody. The good thing is we don't actually show this to people after this. So I recorded the session. I plan on uploading it to YouTube so people at the club can see it. Friends and relatives, you know, when John passed away, unfortunately, there's I think a huge chunk of people that didn't know that he passed away because we just couldn't get into his contacts. So please feel free to share this with anybody. Give them my name, any memories, tell them to share them on Facebook if they can, or if they want me to send, want to send me an email.
What is your phone number?
And this is Gail Mueller. I'll send you, I'll put it on the chat.
Okay.
Gail Mueller, hold on a second. Oh, yeah.
Your name, address, and phone number. Good.
Road, Brooklyn, New York, 11230 917 860-5308. And my email address, is that right? .com. All right, so there's my address, my phone number, and my email address for everybody. It's in the chat. I will post the what's the name? I'll post once I upload it to YouTube. I'll post it and send the. I'll put the link on his Facebook page, and then and anybody who emails me about what we said here today about John. So I look forward to hearing from you. Just because John's not with us doesn't mean we can't all stay in touch.
Thank you for this. This was lovely. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jordan and Alexander.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Andrea. Big kiss to everybody.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Take care of yourselves.
Bye.
Mind yourself.
Bye.
Bye, bye, Robert.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Argentina. Companion. I get